at the worst time. Hey, it's Chris Plank here. And a while back when we had a plumbing issue at our home, our first call was to Norman Air. The team at Norman Air was great, from upfront pricing to alerts before the tech arrived. The whole experience from start to finish was great. With financing available to their Max membership and servicing from North Edmond all the way south to Purcell, Norman Air is the go-to for HVAC, plumbing, and electrical issues. Visit normanair.com today.
You're listening to the home of Sooner fans, KREF, Norman, Oklahoma, and streaming live on the KREF app.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings studios, it's time to get locked into the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
Well, it's a Tuesday, and what a celebratory Tuesday it is. It's Grayson Singleton's birthday. Everybody say happy birthday to Grayson on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. 405
Appreciate it, man.
651-3439. Happy birthday, big dog. How you feeling?
I feel like I'm 6 years away from being 30. That's how I feel.
Yeah, see, I just wasn't going to mention how old you are.
Yeah, I'm 24. Yeah.
Or rather, how young you are.
Well, I mean, you don't really escape it when your girlfriend makes it a big deal that you guys are 3 years apart.
Yes, this is how I found out it was your birthday this morning, because I saw your Instagram repost of her post about you.
Yeah, she jokingly called me Unc the other day.
What'd you think of that?
I mean, it's being funny. But, I mean, I am officially in my mid-20s now, which is a little scary, but more life. It's all going up from here.
See, that is true. My wife is a couple months older than me, and so she just turned 27, and so I've been giving her crap for weeks now because she's officially in her late 20s.
So does that work? Does that work both ways? Like, can you give your wife crap about getting older, or does she get mad at you for that?
No, she has a sense of humor.
Okay.
So
okay, that's good.
She's all right with it.
That's good to know.
And even if she wasn't all right with it, I would still do it because I have a sense of humor. Dang it!
No, we laugh about it. Tattoo Baker says Grayson still gets fooled by home insurance scams.
Hey, I didn't age out of that until I turned 26. So
I don't own a home, so we're not there yet.
Yeah, that's probably for the best. You can wait on that a little while. Enjoy apartment living while you can, because there are things that are great about home ownership. There are things that are very
I'm aware.
Strenuous about home ownership. I was outside this morning staking a tree.
You were doing what now?
I was staking a tree.
Is that like you to hold it up, like to support it?
Yes, to make sure make sure it's not leaning.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So I planted a tree about a month ago, and it had started to lean. So,
as somebody who, because of his allergies, despises yard work, I do enjoy apartment living. I will say that.
That's understandable. Yeah, that's one thing you don't have to worry about at all when you're living in an apartment is yard work. What do you got planned for this birthday Tuesday?
Well, Emily's taking me out to dinner, so.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we're gonna go to dinner tonight, and we'll see after that.
Yeah, I mean that's generally about how it goes once you get to a certain. Like the last birthday I had that I can like distinctively remember what I did on it was my 22nd birthday. I think ever since then it's just been, your birthday just kind of becomes another day.
Yeah, my 23rd was my first birthday here in Norman, and I didn't know a whole lot of people then, so it was just another day. 22nd and 21st birthdays were pretty lit because I was still in college. Mm-hmm. But now, I mean, and you know it, all your friends are like across the country.
Yeah, scattered to the winds.
Yeah, just everybody's everywhere all at once. So, we don't do the huge parties like we did when I was 21 and 22, but it's all good.
That's the reason why I remember my 22nd so distinctly, is because all my buddies came into town
Oh, really?
Yes, for my birthday.
See, mine are in professions where they cannot do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. 5-star Gunny Assessment Army asked, was it a Bradford pear tree that you planted, Parker? Hell no. If there was a Bradford pear tree anywhere in the neighborhood, I would chainsaw that sucker so quick.
What would you do if randomly a Bradford pear tree was planted before you bought the lot and sprouted up?
I wouldn't have bought the lot. Been like, sorry, that's a deal breaker. Yank that tree out. Otherwise, no dice.
Oh, man.
405-651-3439 is how you get in touch with us on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line throughout the show. The show itself is brought to you by Dorsey Jones GMC out in El Reno. If you are in the market for a brand new vehicle, why not a GMC? GMC offers some of the most reliable trucks and SUVs on the road today, and Dorsey Jones offers phenomenal service, including half-price oil changes on Saturdays. So make the short drive out to El Reno and check out Dorsey Jones. A 405 listener on the text line, a good question. This is kind of where I wanted to get started today. Which recruits are visiting OU this weekend? Well, that obviously starts, Grayson, with Jasir Rogers and Daniel McMorris, the two official visitors this weekend for Oklahoma. Rogers, the 4-star wide receiver from the state of Delaware, still technically committed to Penn State, but the way he phrased it, I guess, last week is he was going to maintain his verbal commitment to Penn State but reopen his recruitment. So for all intents and purposes,
he's playing the field.
Yeah, he is on the open market, and Oklahoma's going to take their shot at him this weekend. They're fighting Alabama, fighting Nebraska, a couple other programs involved there. And then Daniel McMorris from right down the road at Norman North. This will be his last official visit before a decision that is likely coming on or before Halloween, so we should know very soon here where Daniel McMorris is going to be playing his college football, and I don't have much of a reason to think he'll be playing his college football anywhere but the University of Oklahoma at this point. The Sooners are going to get the chance to wrap it up with him this weekend for good. Now, Grayson, you, as the voice of Norman North Athletics for KREF Sports, have seen a lot of Daniel McMorris thus far this season. So I think you got some pretty good insight on what type of player Oklahoma would be getting if they're able to seal the deal with McMorris this weekend. I think the big thing that has turned some people off with McMorris or has certain fans skeptical is the weight or lack thereof, the reality that he doesn't have a college-ready frame, at least right now, for an offensive tackle. So at this point, just gauging what you've been able to gauge from Danny McMorris over what is now the majority of his senior season at Norman North, what can you say about the player that Oklahoma hopes to land this weekend officially when he takes the visit?
Well, you hope you land a mobile dude who can grow into the body of an SEC offensive lineman, because that's no secret. You know, you can look at the weight on rosters and whatnot, and you can just watch him and tell, okay, he's got some filling out to do if he's going to be an offensive lineman in the SEC. But good foot speed, really good as a puller in the run game. He's very good at run blocking, so I like that from him. Fundamentally, technically sound, good feet, wide base, that kind of thing. So he's got the technical parts of being a tackle down, especially in the run game. So that's what you have to like. Obviously, the weight is going to be a concern until it isn't. That's going to be the whole thing. But Oklahoma knows, we've talked about this on our show, this is a developmental project. This is not going to be somebody that comes in as a freshman or comes in his second year and all of a sudden is playing meaningful snaps in conference play. That's not what this is going to be. But if he can develop, and if he can develop his body under the tutelage of Bill Bedenbaugh, should be an interesting player to watch down the line.
Well, and I think what's happened with Taylor Wine thus far this season probably makes you a bit more okay with the McMorris take if you're an Oklahoma fan. That you know, and there are certain people that are always going to want instant gratification. There are certain folks that are going to say, well, you know, if he can't see the field year one or year two, why is he even worth taking if we're trying to compete for championships at the University of Oklahoma? But, again, what Taylor Wine is doing for Oklahoma in year three I think should open your eyes to the reality that it's worth securing some guys on the trail that maybe won't pan out immediately, maybe won't offer value the second that they show up on campus in terms of a role on game day, but certainly have their best football ahead of them, and if they're coached and developed properly, could be monsters by their third, fourth, even fifth year on a college campus, and that's certainly what you're counting on with Daniel McMorris. Daniel McMorris is not going to play year one at the University of Oklahoma. Odds are he's probably not going to play year two. We'll see how quickly he puts on the weight, but to me, this is very much akin to a Taylor Wine type of take. It's a guy to whom you're already kind of projecting ahead to year three, and you're figuring, okay, year three is when we're really going to find out what Daniel McMorris is made of as a college football player.
No, you're absolutely correct. And look, the body, to me, the concern is when it comes to we got to put a lot of weight. Because right now, Daniel McMorris on the Norman North roster is listed at about 260, 265, somewhere in that range. My concern when we have these conversations is, does he maintain the athleticism and the agility while he puts on the weight? Because the athleticism and the agility is what gives him that upside, at least from my vantage point, having watched him all season long. So that'll be the concern. But if everything goes to plan, Daniel McMorris can be a pretty good player. He really can.
He can. And again, when you watch the senior tape, you're not necessarily going to see it all, right? It's not all going to be right there in front of your face. What you're going to see is you're going to see certain traits, certain qualities in McMorris's game that will lend themselves well to strong play at the collegiate level once he adds the mass, once he adds the weight. You hope he's able to maintain the foot speed, sharpen up the technique. And then Michael Fasusi right now is already on track to be a 3-and-out guy at Oklahoma. Be a guy that's around for 3 years, off to the NFL. I think that should kind of be the expectation for Fasusi at this point because he has the athletic tools and he's contributing early enough that he can follow the Anton Harrison career arc.
Okay.
Anton Harrison was the last offensive lineman at the University of Oklahoma that was a 3 years and pro guy. Michael Fasusi's certainly capable of that. And the fact that he's starting and playing pretty well, not spectacular, but pretty well for Oklahoma as a true freshman, a left tackle in the SEC, that gives you confidence that barring injury, he's going to be able to stay on that trajectory. And that as he naturally improves year over year, he's going to be in the mix as a high-round NFL draft pick come, what would that be, 2028?
Yes.
2028 NFL draft?
Yes.
And so between him and I guess at this point Ryan Foje is going to be a guard rather than a tackle. But if you look ahead to what the 2028 roster would look like at the University of Oklahoma, at that point, Fasusi, there's a good chance he's off to the NFL. Logan Howland will have graduated. I guess that would be year 5 for Isaiah Autry-Dent if he's still around. And so, and we don't know. There might be a stud along the lines of, Cooper Hackett jumps out at you in the 2027 class, but there might be another stud underclassman that Oklahoma gets committed between now and then and develops ahead of schedule. But to me, if you're looking ahead to 2028, that's really kind of the year where you expect it all to start coming together for Daniel McMorris. Maybe he breaks camp as a starter. Maybe he doesn't, but it's at that point at which, assuming Oklahoma can land him, that's when you're figuring, okay, we should start to see him kind of tapping that ceiling, if you will. Large William says, how many times can you say University of Oklahoma in a segment? Over under 20. That's so bizarre, Large William. Do I have to say it like that? The University of Oklahoma?
No, it's because you do say University of Oklahoma.
I do?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the only way you refer to it as.
Dang. I Honestly, was not even cognizant of that. I genuinely did not even realize I do that.
Like no Oklahoma, no OU, no the Sooners. It's always the University of Oklahoma.
Man. Chalk it up to I just have immense respect and appreciation for my alma mater.
Y'all should see the text chain whenever Parker takes OU as the lock of the week.
Yes, that's a bit. I do that on purpose.
No, I know you do, but
I didn't realize that I only ever refer to OU as the University of Oklahoma. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Point taken. See, it's always nice to know those things because, I mean, that's not really what we would refer to as a verbal crutch, but it's verbal crutch adjacent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I do my best to diversify the vocabulary, and apparently I don't do a very good job in that department. So, henceforth, I will do everything in my power to diversify the manner in which I refer to the University of Oklahoma.
Well done.
580 listener says, should we expect Sexton to come back this year, and what's the update on Howland? Yeah, so Logan Howland, we've talked about it. He has a high ankle sprain. There's a chance he's back in the mix this weekend, but obviously he would not start even if he was active. Your starters right now at the tackles are Fasusi and Simmons. So Howland gives you more depth, though, when he's healthy again. There was a very, very outside chance that he could have played in South Carolina. They ultimately decided not to risk it, not to try it, and he was still in that boot on Saturday. Traveled with the team, but was in a boot. And so there's going to be an opportunity, there's going to be a chance that both he and Gentry Williams play this weekend. I don't know that I would have the expectation right now that either of those guys play. It's very much undecided. I think Keontez Lewis kind of falls in the same boat where those three guys, if you have them this weekend, great, but probably shouldn't count on it, at least not yet. And then on Jacob Sexton, it's a possibility he is back this year, but it won't be till very late, i.e. mid-November or later.
So, and by the way, you are the only radio host I've ever heard say henceforth on the radio, so we'll throw that one in there too. But if Gentry Williams is down, you're looking at Eli Bowen, Cortland Guillory, and Davon Jordan as the third corner in that rotation?
Yeah, that's probably what it's going to be. I mean, that's what it has to be for Oklahoma at this point because the Kendall Dolby situation, like I think we all have been able to pick up on the cues as to what's happening there, especially with Brent Venables' comments earlier today. Jeremiah Newcomb is on the shelf for the remainder of the season with that shoulder injury. And so, I mean, those are your hosses at cornerback, Eli Bowen, Cortland Guillory, and Davon Jordan, who actually played more snaps against South Carolina than any other cornerback on Oklahoma's roster, interestingly enough. Mm-hmm. And Jacoby Johnson did have an interception. He did. Albeit a garbage time interception. But figure you see some Jacoby Johnson snaps as well. Okay, 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Much more ahead as we continue to talk OU football and recruiting here on Locked In. You're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Do you eat, sleep, and breathe Sooner football? We do too. This is The Ref, home of Sooner fans.
It's spooky season here at Riverwind Casino.
And the monster jackpots are taking over.
Experience all thrills and chills on brand new electronic games.
Celebrate in style as a VIP in a private suite in our Showplace Theater.
Game like an MVP when you play with your wild card.
Drop in every Friday in October to win your share of our $100,000 Creepin' for Cash giveaway.
So keep the good times rolling at your favorite haunt.
And we'll see you at Riverwind Casino.
Have you or someone you know suffered a loss to your home or business from the recent storms? Before you accept a settlement, call Brown O'Haver at 405-735-5510. Brown O'Haver is a local-based company helping Oklahomans with claims since 1988 with preparation and expert analysis detailing your loss and insurance settlement. As your trusted consultant, Brown O'Haver can give you peace of mind and make sure you're getting what's yours. Call Brown O'Haver today, 405-735-5510, and make sure they're working for you.
Things get a little more electric this time of year, especially at Confidence Chevrolet Buick GMC. Get behind the wheel of the all-electric 2025 Chevrolet Silverado EV with exceptional lease deals this month. Or turn heads in the 2025 Buick Envista and save $3,100 with 0.9% APR and no payments until February 2026. Visit us today at 6100 Tinker Diagonal or online. Confidence Chevrolet Buick GMC, a Cavender family dealership where confidence is Cavender.
Sidelined by injury? Valor Physical Therapy and H2 Health Company can help. Our therapists use their knowledge and skills to help get you back in the game faster. Book your appointment now at valorpt.com or call 405-609-3637. No referral needed. Mention the ref and get a free t-shirt at your first appointment. That's valorpt.com.
I'm Oklahoma Sooner quarterback John Mateer. My job is to move the ball down the field and get the Sooners across the goal line. If you've been injured in an auto accident, you need a pro to be the quarterback of your medical care needs. Dr. Martin Lopez and the OKC Car Crash Clinic are your premier teammates to help you on your road to recovery. Dr. Lopez is a specialty trained MD with decades of experience. Make your best play call and contact Dr. Lopez at 405-86-CRASH. That's 405-862-7274 or visit okccrash.com.
Did the recent storms damage your home and roof? Call All-American Roofing today. All-American Roofing has been repairing and replacing roofs for over 40 years and is a second-generation locally owned roofing company. They are also a Google guaranteed contractor and offer free inspections. Our roofers are GAF Master Elite contractors with a BBB A+ rating. Call All-American Roofing today at 405-787-0400. All-American Roofing, the best roofing company in Oklahoma. 405-787-0400.
For 3 generations, the John M. Ireland & Son Funeral Home and Chapel in Morris continued to serve the community by giving back to local schools, charitable organizations, and first responders.
We provide pre-planning for funerals and cremation services at the most reasonable prices.
We are proud to be a family-owned and operated funeral home.
Award-winning funeral home year after year, our family believes in serving the people of our community.
I'm John Ireland.
And I'm Solon Daniels.
You've got our word on it.
Hey Norman, are you looking for a new Kia? At Sooner Kia of Norman, you can save up to $6,000 or 0% financing on a brand new Kia. Need service? Full synthetic oil changes or alignments are just $69. November 1st, they're hosting the City of Norman Animal Welfare Mobile Pet Adoption. Stop by and meet their new GM. He might be from California, but he's all Okie. Grab a deal you cannot afford to miss. Sooner Kia, 418 North Interstate Drive in Norman. Better deals, better service, better get here now.
(405-651-3439) is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line here on Locked In. Parker Thune alongside Grayson Singleton. Shoot us a text. Let's talk. We always love engaging with all of you fine listeners. Do you remember the last time Lane Kiffin was in Norman, Oklahoma?
No, I don't.
This is kind of a deep cut. We were talking about this earlier at the press conference. Last time he was in Norman, Oklahoma was in 2018 as the head football coach of the Florida Atlantic Owls.
Huh.
Lane Kiffin was Florida Atlantic's head coach when that team, the running back named Devin Singletary, who was a pretty dang good player, still is.
Yeah, still is in the NFL.
Came to Norman for the season opener, and obviously they got throttled by Kyler Murray in Oklahoma. It was not a close game, but yeah, did he have 2, maybe 3 years as the head coach at FAU? I can't remember exactly, but that was Lane Kiffin's laying low gig for a couple years after. Well, obviously after he was the head coach at USC, and then he was the OC at Alabama for a few years there. But he was at Florida Atlantic for 3 years, got the Ole Miss job. That's where he's been ever since.
Speaking of Lane Kiffin, Michael on the YouTube chat, which, by the way, we are on YouTube, he says, "Happy birthday, Grayson. I was going to give you some signs, but Kiffin stole them from me."
What signs was he going to give you? That just makes me very curious.
Yeah, I know. But I appreciate the joke, though.
316 listener says, my cousin made the first tackle of that game on special teams. That listener's from Wichita, Kansas. Who's your cousin? You're from Wichita. Who was from Wichita or from Kansas on that OU roster? I'm trying to think. 2018. 2018. You're gonna have to give me the answer, especially if he was a special teams guy. That's gonna be. I don't know if I can pull one out of. I don't know if I can pull that out of the recesses of my memory. Unless your cousin's like Brian Meade or something.
Alex from Dallas says, Parker, I need some critical analysis on why Oklahoma is a 5.5-point favorite and trending toward a 4.5-point favorite, and trending toward 5.5, even though the public is all over the Rebels, both on the spread and the money line.
See, that's interesting. I think, and look, I'm no betting expert. Our regular listener who goes by the name A Verified Source on the text line is generally our go-to for all things betting. I do not bet, never have, not my speed, so I am by no means an authority on that, but I think what the Vegas spread would tell you is that there is more confidence amongst the odds makers in Oklahoma's defense than there is in Ole Miss's offense. And also there's kind of an expectation, as we've talked about, that John Mateer plays better and plays more, plays with greater precision, I guess, than he has the last couple of weeks. Because his accuracy was not great against Texas. It was a little better against South Carolina. Come Saturday, he's going to be a full month removed from the thumb surgery. And so, to me, Saturday is the first game where the excuses surrounding the thumb, and John Mateer has made no excuses, to be clear, but the external excuses for John Mateer's play, the ability to kind of spin that as, he's just recovering from the thumb injury, those dry up, those go away as of this weekend. John Mateer has to be at his best the rest of the way for Oklahoma because this is a very pivotal football game. If Oklahoma wins, they are 7-1. They are no doubt a top 10 program in next week's AP poll. And they have the potential in the month of November, the way that schedule stacks up, to really get hot. Because, they got to go to Neyland Stadium to play Tennessee. That's a very vulnerable Tennessee team, though. That's a gettable Tennessee team. Now, Neyland Stadium's a really tough place to play. Joey Aguilar's a good quarterback. But it certainly doesn't feel like winning that game on the road is beyond Oklahoma by a launch. They may be favored. They may be favored in that game. If they beat Ole Miss, I would figure they would be.
Who does Tennessee have this week?
Who does Tennessee have this week? Offhand, I could not tell you.
Okay.
But they go to Neyland, then they come home, and they have Missouri. And they go on the road again to Tuscaloosa. Then they finish out at home against LSU. I'll be completely frank, and I've been frank about this in the past. I don't think Oklahoma's beating Alabama. Alabama, to me, looks like the best team in the country. And also, that team is going to be very specifically motivated to win that game.
Uh-huh.
And so, to me, I have that one in the loss column. In all honesty.
As do I.
But Tennessee's a very winnable football game. Missouri is a very winnable football game, even though that might be a better football team than Tennessee or Ole Miss. Missouri might be Oklahoma's toughest opponent the rest of the way that's not named Alabama. And then, obviously, LSU is a game that Oklahoma ought to win at this point at home, especially because, let's be completely frank. Brian Kelly might be fired by then. If we look at LSU's schedule between now and then, LSU might be limping into that game at like 7-4.
Potentially.
And Kelly might be already out, or he may be decidedly on his way out. Because you can usually tell, right? You can usually tell if a football coach is getting fired at the end of the season. Before the final week of the regular season, you can see the signs pointing in that direction.
You bring up a good point here. Because I would rather, if you're from an Oklahoma fan standpoint, I would rather face them with Brian Kelly than an interim head coach. Because if Brian Kelly's already disconnected and, he's already been relegated to the fact that he is going to be fired, that seems like a dude who could coach disinterested. Now, an interim head coach, he's going to bring all the intensity in the world, and if UCLA's turnaround has told us anything, sometimes firing a coach can light a fire under the team.
Yes, it can.
So
the interim coach bump is a thing.
Yes, so I would rather face him with a Brian Kelly that knows he's going to be fired than whoever they elevate to the interim in that case.
Where was this? There was a text I wanted to get around to about Kendall Dolby and Javonte Barnes, and now I have lost it. If that was your text, can you send it again, please?
Tennessee's also at Kentucky this week.
Okay, Tennessee, Kentucky. Yeah, Tennessee ought to win that one. Jimmy and Edmond says, how is OU recruiting going for the 26 class since we are playing better? There are guys looking at us now. Obviously, many wanted to see how we did. And, yeah, at this point, I think we can say this definitively. Brent Venables' job is fully secure next season. And, obviously, you can't look any further than that these days because if things crash and burn, no institution is going to hold out too terribly long on making a change. But Brent Venables is going to be back as Oklahoma's head coach in 2026 at this point. Oklahoma's 6-1 start has virtually ensured. Unless you go 0-5 from here on out, which I don't think there's any way this team, with how good their defense is going 0-5 the rest of the way. But Brent Venables and this coaching staff have solidified their job security, their collective job security for the 2026 season. And so any kid that is considering the University of Oklahoma, and they're looking at the trajectory of this program and the stability that this program has and will have moving forward, they probably feel quite a bit better about the situation looking at it now than they did back in June. And I'll tell you, I talked to one OU commit in the 2026 class just a couple of days ago, and we were talking about that very reality. The reality that, because he had committed no, not mid-spring. He committed it was either May or it might actually have been late spring and early June. But he was a guy that at the time he committed, he was very candid about it. He said, look, I understand that these guys are coaching for their jobs in 2025. I believe in them. I believe that they will win in 2025. If they don't, then I'll do what I have to do come October or November. But right now, I'm going to trust that this coaching staff is going to get enough wins here in 2025 to ensure that they're not going anywhere after the season. And obviously, he's been proven correct ever since, as Oklahoma has rolled to a 6-1 start. So currently, Oklahoma has what I believe is the 18th ranked class as of last check, according to Rivals, the 18th ranked recruiting class. It's a good class. I don't know that it's a great class, at least on paper. That's the thing, right? Game's not played on paper. If you trust Jim Nagy and you trust this front office, and look, whether or not you do, that's on you. That's up to you. You don't have a ton of reasons to trust them. You don't have a ton of reasons not to trust them yet. They've been here 6 months. But if you trust Jim Nagy and you trust his reputation, you trust his resume, you trust the people that he's surrounded himself with in the Oklahoma front office, I think what you can reasonably expect is that this recruiting class ultimately will outperform their collective ranking as a group.
And I've been saying that for months now. I think this is a good class. It checks all the boxes. There's good fit with these guys and the program as well, which sometimes can can sometimes elevate you even more than the talent does. Hey, we found your text, by the way, that you were trying to get back to. Go ahead.
A couple texts, actually, from Jay in Tulsa. The first one was, hey, Parker, do you remember what former Oklahoma commit quarterback FAU had in that game in 2018? Boy, do I. And he wasn't just a commit. He signed with the program. He was a member of the program for spring ball in 2017. Chris Robeson out of Mesquite, Texas. Mesquite Horn. Transferred to FAU. I think he holds a bunch of school records at FAU, doesn't he? he go to play in the CFL, if I'm not mistaken? Yeah, I remember Chris Robeson. But his other text was, so Dolby and Barnes are basically going the business decision route? Here's the situation as I've come to understand it. And I don't know, for obvious reasons, that Brent Venables will ever be completely candid about this situation with Kendall Dolby and Javonte Barnes. But Kendall Dolby and Javonte Barnes naturally are looking at their respective individual situations right now and concluding that if they play out the remainder of the season within the context of their current roles at Oklahoma, they don't have much of a shot at playing football at the next level. And that's what those guys want to do. That's what every college football player wants to do. And so I don't have the expectation right now that you see Kendall Dolby or Javonte Barnes take another snap at Oklahoma the rest of the season. I don't know that either of those guys will play another down of football in 2025. And this is something that's happening across the sport right now. This is really the first time Oklahoma's had to deal with it. But Barnes is what? At best, your third option at running back right now?
Mm-hmm.
With the way that Torrey Blaylock and Xavier Robinson have looked recently. And Dolby is what? Maybe your third option at Cheetah with how good Reggie Powers has been in limited action?
I would say so.
No better than your fourth option at cornerback? And so those guys have kind of become depth pieces and little more. So again, from an individual standpoint, from a business standpoint, you understand where they're coming from. But part of the reason I don't think Brent Venables has been terribly explicit in answering questions surrounding Dolby and Barnes is because those are two guys that, given all that they've invested into the program and the positive effect that they've had on the locker room throughout their careers at OU, you'd like to have those guys back in 2026. However, no doubt, both of those guys are projecting ahead to what OU's roster is going to look like in 2026 and thinking, well, maybe I would be better off transferring. Maybe I would be better off playing somewhere else. And so those are going to be ongoing conversations. That's going to be the nature of the ongoing conversations between Oklahoma and Dolby and Barnes, respectively, is, hey, we'd like to have you back in 2026. Why don't you stay here instead of going somewhere else?
Yeah, and the answer is Brent Venables likes the dudes, and he appreciates what they have brought to the program, and especially Javonte Barnes, because there was every reason under the sun for him to transfer after last year.
Yes.
And he stuck around, which, I'm not going to lie, surprised me a lot. Surprised me a lot that he's still an Oklahoma Sooner. And then Dolby, obviously the concern was, will he be able to get back to what he was pre-injury coming back this year? And the answer, quite frankly, has been no so far. And the emergence of Reggie Powers.
Mm-hmm. Mike S. says, Dolby would love to have back. Barnes needs a transfer. I disagree, Mike. I think Oklahoma, first off, I think Oklahoma would love to have both of those guys back. And I think if you're an Oklahoma fan, you should love to have both of those guys back because Dolby has proven his value as a defender, most specifically at that Cheetah spot. And if he runs it back next year at OU, maybe he's not the starter at Cheetah. Maybe that's Powers. But he's at the very least going to be seeing snaps because Reggie Powers can't play every single snap at the Cheetah spot. And maybe Powers is a guy that you'd rather have roaming the field at that strong safety spot. We'll see. Like, obviously, you'd expect that Peyton Bowen is back in 2026. But, you know, you'd like to be too deep with guys at safety that you can count on. And so depending on where Omarion Robinson's at, maybe you're seeing more strong safety snaps for Reggie Powers next year than you are at the Cheetah. But regardless, I think there's definitely a role for Dolby and a valuable role that he can play if he's back in 2026, and that'll be part of the pitch from Brent Venables and the staff. And for Barnes, man, I love Javonte Barnes because he is the ultimate program guy. And I've said this before, at every turn, Javonte Barnes has demonstrated that he is more about the University of Oklahoma than serving his own interests. And in all honesty, I think it's good that for once he seems to be acting in his own interest right now, because he's not going to have much of a role one way or another the rest of the way for Oklahoma, because Torrey Blaylock and Xavier Robinson have kind of seized the bull by the horns between them in commandeering control of that backfield. And so you can certainly make the argument that Javonte Barnes could actually add more value for Oklahoma in 2026 than he is currently adding in 2025. And there might be more of a necessity to have that guy on the roster in 2026 than there is a necessity to have him available the rest of the way in 2025. And maybe you don't see it that way, and that's fine. We don't all have to have the same perspective on it. But I understand where both of those guys are coming from. I understand why neither of them have played. Barnes hadn't played the last couple weeks. Dolby didn't play last week against South Carolina. I understand why there's a bit of a Twilight Zone feel to their respective situations right now. Totally get it. And Oklahoma is going to continue to navigate what has a potential to be some tough conversations with those guys. We'll see where things land. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. One more segment of Locked In is ahead. Keep it here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Sound off any time of day on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439. Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, USA.
For the professional, it's not enough to just possess knowledge. That's why at GMC, we seek to refine it, to wield its power, to redefine its boundaries, while pushing the limits. And we put this knowledge to the test in every GMC Sierra by engineering each one to outperform your expectations. So you know you're getting precision and durability when you need it most. And that's what makes the GMC Sierra the truck worth knowing. We are professional grade. See your Oklahoma GMC dealers.
This is Peggy Doviak of DM Wealth Management. And just like in a football game, your special teams will make or break the success of your financial plan. First, you need to have a good CPA to help you with your taxes. Then you need an estate attorney to help you put together your estate documents. And finally, you need a certified financial planner practitioner to help you make a plan. We'd love to help you plan your prosperity. Check us out at dmwealth.com.
You might know that State Farm agent Cindy Nasher has great service. Cindy is your good neighbor after all. But did you know that State Farm has surprisingly great rates too? Yep, that's right. Along with good neighbor service, State Farm agent Cindy Nasher has surprisingly great rates for everyone in Norman. So call State Farm agent Cindy Nasher at 405-307-0500 for your surprisingly great rates today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
Do you like to stand out in a crowd while wearing the best in OU apparel? The Jimmy Austin Pro Shop carries the best brands you can wear to work or even dress up events. Lines such as Lululemon, Travis Mathew, FootJoy, Greg Norman, Grayson, or Turtleson with the OU and Jimmy Austin logo are sure to catch everyone's eye. You don't have to be a golfer to shop at Jimmy Austin. They also do corporate special orders for you and your company. Call them today, 405-325-6716, or visit theougolfclub.com for more information.
For the cost of a round of golf or a nice dinner out, you can have peace of mind that your lung health is in check. That peace of mind, it's a $75 lung scan performed in November at Norman Regional. November is Lung Cancer Awareness Month, and our lung experts want you to know that early lung cancer detection saves lives. Visit normanregional.com/lung scan or call 405-307-2290 to schedule your discounted $75 lung scan.
It's truck or treat time here at Seth Wadley Chevy GMC in Paul Valley. At Seth Wadley Chevy GMC, you'll get all the trucks and even more treats with some big city selection and low country prices. Here's a real treat with 2.9% for 72 months on new 26 Chevy Silverado, and take 20% off new 25 GMC Sierra and Chevy Silverado 1500s. The real treat is a small town country people you'll deal with and an entire lot full of new Chevy and GMC trucks. Seth Wadley Chevy GMC always has all the trucks and even more treats with some of the biggest discounts and lowest interest rates just in time for truck buying season. Oklahoma, it's always a treat with a promise.
That's my promise of oil changes and diggings for life on newer used gas or diesel at no additional cost to you.
So come get you a new pickup at Seth Wadley Chevy GMC, I-35, exit 72, Paul Valley, or click SethWadleyGMC.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
GMC stock number G253.
4132, Chevy 2.9% WAC.
What's on your to-do list? Check your mail? Get groceries? How about getting your annual vaccines? We can help you check that off.
You've got this.
Yes, you do. Because we've got you. With local vaccine events and access to transportation, protecting yourself and your loved ones is not a chore anymore.
You've got this.
A message from the Aging and Disability Vaccination Collaborative, powered by U.S. Aging. Funded by the U.S. Administration for Community Living through a grant to U.S. Aging. Learn more at yougotthis.usaging.org.
(405-651-3439) is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. That's how you get in touch with us and join the show here on Locked In. Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton winding down here on a Tuesday. Tyler McComas, Teddy Lehman, ready to take over at 3 o'clock. Take you all the way home on this Tuesday afternoon with The Rush. 3 more hours of OU sports talk ahead at the top of the 3 o'clock hour. Craig in Cleveland on the text line says, Parker, thanks for breaking down the Barnes and Dolby situations. Excellent content. I like the way BV is handling it, and I wish nothing but the best for those guys. Yeah, again, I think you can understand both sides of it, right? You understand where Barnes and Dolby are at as individuals. You certainly understand why Brent Venables is dealing with those situations the way that he is dealing with them in the public eye, because they're 2 guys that you would like to have back on the roster in 2026 and that would provide value to the roster were they still around in 2026. Cole Claremore says, Dolby getting that Justin Harrington treatment. Justin Harrington is still playing college football in the year of our Lord 2025. He's at West Virginia, is he not? Was Zach Alley? Speaking of, I know Zach Alley essentially got his salary doubled by old Rich Rodriguez up in Morgantown, but boy, that team is bad.
Very.
That team is bad. And Zach Alley's stock on the job market across college football is dropping precipitously. By the way, congrats to Oklahoma commit Cooper Hackett with the new Rivals rankings for the class of 2027 yesterday. He officially received the 5th star. He had been regarded as a 5-star consensus player because of how highly he was ranked, but no singular service had actually designated him a 5-star player outright. That changed yesterday. He is now a 5-star and the number 6 player in America, number 1 player in the state of Oklahoma. And moreover, Grayson, Oklahoma now holds the number 1 class in the nation in 2027.
Yeah, I did see that. And look, they're off to a good start. We have talked about that. And keep winning. You keep winning and they will come. And Oklahoma is historically a championship caliber and championship winning program. So you just keep winning. You show you're keeping up the winning ways, and they're going to continue to get their kids, no doubt.
I'm going to go see Cooper Hackett again this Thursday night. Looking forward to it. Fort Gibson is playing at 0-7 Catoosa, so that should be a nice little walk in the park for the Tigers. We'll see. But the latest update from Rivals also has Caden Penny up to number 20 in the nation. So
wait, hang on. So does that give him a 5-star, a 5th star too?
He is in 5-star territory.
Okay, because I know you said there's 32 5-stars.
Yes, there will be 32 5-stars. They don't designate 32 5-stars off the rip. It's like they start out with 4 or 5 players that get the inaugural 5-star distinction, and then that'll get expanded to 7 or 8, then 10 or 12. And, of course, by the end of the recruiting cycle, when they're wrapping up their senior year, you have 32 5-stars. And the reason they do that is because, you don't want to slap a 5-star label on a player too early.
And then have to rescind it.
Yeah, he plateaus and you have to rescind it. Yeah. So and there will always be some guys early in the cycle that it's glaringly obvious. Okay, this is a 5-star and he's going to be a 5-star. Jackson Cantwell, for instance. Jackson Cantwell was a 5-star by the beginning of his sophomore year of high school because you knew nothing was going to ruin that kid, at least not until he got to the collegiate level.
Chris from Knoxville says, have y'all heard anything on Samaj Stanford from the 2027 class? Good question, and I called a game that featured Samaj Stanford this past weekend.
Okay, so what did you think?
And I talked to some people about him. First of what I thought. Guy's a dog. I mean, he was the most athletic player on the field. That included Mason James, by the way. So
he's an awesome safety.
Oh my goodness, safety, wide receiver, kick returner. He was the best player on the field. Now I talked to some people around Broken Arrow, and they also told me this: he is the most intelligent high school football player they have ever seen. He is so smart, so intelligent, and the way he diagnoses plays. And I had to go back in my mind and think, okay, he was hit in here on this run play, and I'm like, oh. He recognized where that run play was going to go. That's why from his safety position, he was the first person there to make the play. So he is incredibly smart, does his homework. He's great in the film room, great in preparation from what I gathered from the people I talked to. Samaj Stanford's going to be a huge problem for every other school that does not get him once he commits in the 2027 class. And I know Oklahoma's offered him.
Yes, they have, and they would love to have him.
As would everybody else in the country.
They would love to have Samaj Stanford. It's interesting. Right now, according to Rivals, he's a 3-star 89.
Which was wild when I saw that.
Mm-hmm. He's a great player, man. That ain't no 3-star.
No. No.
Not in my mind. But, yeah, he's one of those guys. And right now, when you look at the uncommitted players in the state of Oklahoma in the 2027 class, there are a handful of them that Oklahoma, without reservation, is ready to take the second that they want to jump on board. Samaj Stanford is one. Case Alexander is another. Ben Kolar at Norman North, they love him.
He turned in a really good game this weekend.
He's been really consistent to this point in the year. Gabriel Osborne up at Mustang. We've talked about him.
He's a dog.
Pretty extensively. When he's ready to slide, they will be ready to take his commitment. No question about it. And I think that one has the potential to be wrapped up pretty soon here. And, gosh, who the heck else am I neglecting to mention? Because there are 11 players in the state of Oklahoma in the 2027 cycle with an offer from the Sooners. 2 of them are obviously already committed in Hackett and Penny. But, yeah, there are 5 or 6, and including the names that I just mentioned, that Oklahoma's ready for. You know, if those guys want to jump on board, they want to be Sooners, Oklahoma's going to be ready to take them.
Now, Bryson Brown is the other safety for Broken Arrow right now. Is Oklahoma in on him?
They offered,
and I believe he's a 3-star prospect too.
They offered back in June of 2024, I want to say. I have not been led to believe that that offer is committable right now.
Okay.
Nor that Oklahoma is really pushing that hard for Bryson Brown. John in Blanchard says, what about the Waxahachie, Texas safety? Thank you, John, because I meant to mention this earlier and forgot about it. The Waxahachie, Texas safety is Jaquan Snell. Borderline 5-star prospect in the 2027 class. You know where he's going to be this Saturday? Norman, Oklahoma. So, would I say Oklahoma leads for Jaquan Snell right now? I would not. They're up there. They're not the leader. I think the leader is Texas A&M at this point. But they will get Snell on campus. They will take their shot with him. They will try to sell him on the Oklahoma experience and his fit in the Oklahoma defense, and we'll see where that leads. I mean, this is not a kid that, in all likelihood, is going to make a decision like soon. But they've made Jaquan Snell a very, very high priority.
I want to get this in because it's come in a myriad of texts, but if Brian Kelly were to get fired at LSU, is there a chance that Oklahoma could try to reignite the Peyton Houston thing and maybe get him to flip?
Well, Oklahoma and Peyton Houston haven't stopped talking since he committed to LSU. I mean, those conversations, that communication has not ceased. And here's where Oklahoma's at. Peyton Houston is the guy that from the jump they like best. And, you know, they love to have him. They would love to have him in the 2027 class. But if he stays locked in with LSU, Oklahoma's going to take their time in evaluating other options. And we may not see another offer for another few months in 2027 at quarterback. But again, I'll come back to it. Kid's still talking to the University of Oklahoma. Now, that could mean something. It could mean absolutely nothing. He's a polite kid, I don't think he's going to stonewall Ben Arbuckle if Ben Arbuckle picks up the phone and calls him. But the way one source phrased it to me last week, they said, I tell you, for a kid that's committed to LSU, he sure does spend a lot of time talking with the University of Oklahoma. So if Brian Kelly gets fired, I think it really just kind of depends on who the next guy at LSU is.
Because if they elevate Joe Sloan is the offensive coordinator there, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, if they elevate Joe Sloan, then that heightens the chances that he sticks.
Is Joe Sloan, is elevating him even a possibility that's on the table at this point?
Probably not. Or I should have probably said retained him.
Okay,
in one way. That's probably the direction I should have gone. Yeah, my bet on that.
Yeah. I don't think that guy has done much of anything to make LSU fans believe that he ought to be retained. He's not a very popular man down in the booth.
Really? Is that just recency bias, though? Because their offense was pretty good last year.
It was, but their offense is bad now. For
fair.
instance,
Yes.
there were some folks saying Ben Arbuckle wasn't the answer for Oklahoma after the Texas game. Haven't heard from those folks yet this week, but that's just kind of how it happens. College football fans are reactionary. All right, folks, we're done. Locked In is a wrap for this Tuesday. Tyler McComas and Teddy Lehman are coming up on the other side with 3 more hours of OU sports talk, so you're not going to want to go anywhere. Happy birthday to Grayson Singleton. I am Parker Thune.
Appreciate it, man.
We will see you same time, same place tomorrow afternoon here on Locked In. You're listening to the Home of Sooner Fans.